I read 13 books in the month of March. I am in the middle of a reading slump. I was doing residency. I am overwhelmed, but let's get into the books. First up is Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is the first book in Black Dagger Brotherhood. I annotated it. This is going to be in a video specifically for these books, so stay tuned for that. But this is vampires finding their mates and saving the vampire race. Next up is Fear the Reapers. This is a book that I got in the Baddies book box, and I gave this book, I believe, a 3. This book is about a girl who her mother didn't like her and used to abuse her really, really badly until her father took her away, and then her father passed before she was old enough to take care of herself. So she had to be returned back to said mother. And that mother then married someone else and had another kid and treated them both horribly. And her stepfather had an addiction and sold her to a crime syndicate. That's all you need to know. Like I said, I gave it a 3. I enjoyed it. Next up, we have Until I Get You, which is a hockey romance by Claire Contreras. This is my first book by Claire Contreras. And again, I got this in the Baddies book box, and it is a thickums because there's technically 2 books in this one book. I actually like this one, and this one has a stalker in it. It also has, it's a whole lot. It also has a little bit of revenge in it. It was a good story. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this one more than I have a lot of the books that I received in the Baddies book box. So kudos to me. I'm getting through my Baddies books. I finished the Lily Kittner and Henry Kimball series with A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the second one, but the first one is still top tier overall out of this series. Again, you're following a whole new cast of characters, and our 2 main characters are Lily Kittner and Henry Kimball, the detective now turned PI. Now, King Corium is, again, a book from Baddies book box by C. Hallman. I DNF'd this book after the first 2 chapters, I believe, because in the second chapter we meet the FMC, and on her way to Corium University, she already gets sexually assaulted in the woods, and I didn't like that, so I just DNF'd. It's the way sometimes things are handled in books. I'm just like, so if we're getting this in chapter 2 for no reason, there shouldn't be any continuation of this book, and there won't be from me. Next, we have Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. I enjoyed this book so much. This is a YA contemporary book, kind of coming of age book, where our main character Little is trying to voice her sexual preferences and sexual attraction in girls and boys. But again, it doesn't matter what her label is. She is surrounded by a very inclusive group. She just doesn't want to come out yet to everyone. And she was sent away about a year ago when she was 15 to a boarding school because her brother Lion was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. And her parents had noticed that she was giving more attention to him and his diagnosis in his life than she was to her own. But they didn't voice that opinion clear enough to her to where it seemed like she was being thrown away so that they can put all of their attention on Lion. Lion also feels kind of discarded by Little. He loves Little to death, and he kind of feels discarded by her because when she left, so did his group of friends. And now she's back. Little is back for the summer vacation, and she's trying to keep their brother-sister relationship alive, and nothing is going as planned. I enjoyed this book. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I do think that people should read this. Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. This is what you get when you put Dancing with the Stars in a book, but with a Latina main character and a guy from, let's say, a reality show of his own. This was interesting. I don't like music in books. However, I actually did enjoy this book because of the interaction of the book. It gives you the set list, it gives you the episode list, it gives you the characters, who gets voted off when. It gives you all of that, and I enjoyed this one. Plus, our main character, she's from the Bronx, so am I. I enjoy seeing the Bronx representation in books, or New York City representation overall in books. So I did enjoy this one. I think I gave it 3.5. And so far, I still don't like music in books, music, dancing, or anything else. But this one being akin to Dancing with the Stars, you know, even if you don't know how to dance, you know what the Roomba looks like, you know what the Paso Doble looks like because you've watched it in that show. So this one, I did not have a problem with the music or the dancing. So yeah, I would recommend this. Here's the book I don't recommend to nobody. Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. I did not enjoy this book. I listened with the audio because it started to get a little weird. I couldn't catch on with the cadence of the writing because there are no quotation marks in this book. There's no who said this and who said that in this book. So I read it with the audio, and the audio is done in a child's voice, and she calls her father Dado. And if I had to hear Dado one more time, yeah, it was going to be problems. Hands were going to be thrown. Or more like this book was going to hit the walls. One of those things was going to happen, and I'm not opposed to either. Because in this book, there is a malevolent thing that is living in their house that asks their daughter, can I go into your heart? And the thing about this book is that the child in this book is 8, though her voice plays like she's 4. And her actions kind of shows younger than 8 as well. You would think that having a character, having the story being told from a character that's 8 years old would be more creepy, more sinister, more scary. And it was none of those things. It focused a lot on the parents' marriage and how they use their daughter as a sounding board for their issues, which I did not enjoy. So yeah, this is a no for me, dog. Next, we have Out of Body by Nia Davenport. This is also N.E. Davenport, hint, hint. But this is Out of Body. This is sci-fi, a sci-fi thriller, and I enjoyed it. This is a Freaky Friday and science mixed because these 2 girls meet, they become fast best friends, and then they switch minds. And so one character's mind is now in the other one's body and so forth. And I enjoyed this one. It was really, this one was a lot of malevolence in it. It had a lot of sinister behavior. Like, people are really, really weird when it comes to the things that they do to other people with the thought of, I can fix it later, or I've been hurt, so you should be okay. But I enjoyed this. It is a fast read, and it's very short. One character knows from the beginning when she meets the other that I'm going to switch with her because I'm being chased and I need a new body, and so that I can't be found out while I'm looking for the answers that I'm looking for, because she doesn't know who she is, where she started from, because her memories were erased. And the longer, I believe, you stay in the bodies that you're in, you can start to lose your memories as well. So yeah, I do recommend this book, and I enjoyed this book a lot. I think I gave it 4 stars. Next is Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown. This has fae in it and other types of demons. I don't know how to describe this book, but it was okay. I think I gave it 3.5. It wasn't what I was expecting after reading How a Heart Breaks by Stacey Marie Brown. I enjoyed that one. However, this one, it was okay. I think it could have gave us more, but there is 6 to 7 books in the series, so I guess we'll get it in those. And I kind of believe that our FMC in this book is more than we're led to believe she is, because she's just a human. And because of that, no matter how hard she fights or what she does, she's always going to have a harder time. But there's also inklings and tellings and little breadcrumbs that's dropped that maybe she could be more. So maybe she's the queen or the princess of the Fae or something like that. I don't know. But I will be continuing to the next book. I don't know when, because again, this wasn't the best book I've read so far this year, or even close to it. So I'll get to it when I get to it. Next, we have Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert. And again, I was looking for horror, and this was more like crime fiction, because there was no horror elements. There were times where it could have been, but it actually wasn't. There's no malevolence in this book. There are just bad people doing bad things, and therefore I didn't like it. Plus, again, in this book also, the marriage comes into play between the FMC in this book whose child gets kidnapped. And I'm like, I don't care. And why? Like, I just didn't care. So yes, this one also didn't hit the mark for me as well. Lastly are 2 books. One is The Road to Woodbury that I read in the series. I don't own the first book or the first couple of books in the series. And I enjoyed The Road to Woodbury well enough, because it lets you know how people coming across Woodbury and the governor kind of saw them, especially in their earlier days of getting Woodbury together. So I did enjoy this. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I will be moving on in the series. So my final book that I have, which is book 9 in the series, is safe on my shelves for now. Next, I read one Kindle book. Again, I am in a reading slump. Lord, am I in a reading slump. And it's a bad slump. It's one of the worst slumps I've ever had. So I've only read one Kindle book, and it was Dreaux by Nek Mills. It is For My Southern Hearts and Dying Kisses series. And I read it. I enjoyed it. I laughed. Our MMC is nicknamed Zoo, and you find out why when you read this book. Our FMC is sold to our MMC kind of as a payment, and he's not a bad dude, especially not to her, but I do think there is some boundaries that are crossed in this book, quite a few. I did enjoy it though, so I think I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a meh month for me. March was just so let's hope that April is better. Yeah, and I will definitely see y'all in the next one, because I need better recommendations. I need better books to read. I need to get out of this slump. See y'all in the next one. Bye.